Eerst, het is een van de literaire klassiekers van de 20ste eeuw. To Kill A Mockingbird van de Amerikaanse auteur Harper Lee. Het was een snoeiharde aanklacht tegen racisme en de onderdrukking van zwarte Amerikanen. Nu, ruim een halve eeuw later, komt er een opvolger. Go Set A Watchman. In het Nederlands ga heen, zet een wachter. Het is meer dan 50 jaar geleden geschreven. Het manuscript was verloren gewaand, maar het is teruggevonden. Opnieuw gaat het boek over racisme. Correspondent ARJEN van der Horst en cameraman Remco Bikkers gingen naar Monroeville, Alabama, de woonplaats van Harper Lee die model stond voor haar verhalen.
I want to talk to you a little bit today about a special little girl who lived right here in Monroeville, Alabama.
Anybody who's read To Kill A Mockingbird is going to want to read this.
You're selling thousands.
No, we have never sold that many books.
But there isn't a commitment to racial justice. You know, the state of Alabama is still struggling to recover from the legacy of slavery.
Harper Lee is from a very small town called Monroeville. It's in Alabama. It's a traditional small southern town built on a small, square with the courthouse in the courtyard, much like you see in the movie and in the novel.
Ladies and gentlemen, Gregory Peck.
The world never seems as fresh and wonderful, as comforting and terrifying, as good and evil, as it does when seen through the eyes of a child. For a writer to capture that feeling is remarkable. And perhaps that is why one book in the last few years has been so warmly embraced by tens of millions of people.
What did she say about what she expected of the book herself when it was published?
She said she was knocked over. She had hoped maybe for, a decent review, but she never expected the kind of liftoff that happened.
And then it became a movie?
It became a movie with Gregory Peck, yeah. And that movie was just as big a masterpiece as the novel.
This court's now in session. Everybody rise.
To Kill a Mockingbird speelt zich af in het Alabama van de jaren 30. Een tijd van strikte rassenscheiding. Centraal staat de blanke advocaat Atticus Finch.
The evil assumption that all Negroes lie, all Negroes are basically immoral beings, all Negro men are not to be trusted around our women.
Atticus Finch verdedigt Tom Robinson, een zwarte man die ten onrechte ter dood wordt veroordeeld voor de verkrachting van een blanke vrouw.
Said he's gonna kill her.
Tom's dead. They shot him, said Atticus. They fired a few shots in the air, then to kill.
Tom Robinson is fearful of what's going to happen to him, not because he has any doubts about his innocence, but because this narrative of racial difference has been expressed so violently, so terrifyingly.
He knew what was going to happen.
He knew what was going to happen. And in fact, the whole demographic geography of the United States was shaped by this era of terrorism.
Can you explain what impact it had when it was published?
It came out in the summer of 1960, and it gave real fuel to the civil rights movement in this country.
And I say segregation now, segregation tomorrow, and segregation forever.
When the novel arrived in 1960, it was just the beginning of things. By the time the movie came out, everything had exploded by 1963, and things were really happening.
Oh, nail's crooked. Oh, and that's got to be cleaned down too. Cleaned as a smudge on nail.
That's her picture, isn't it?
Yes, it is. She is world known, so she means everything. People, I told y'all, I think people all over the world call me on the telephone. They've called me every time a new book has come out about a biography about her, wanting to know about her. And she still remains as popular this day as she did.
Even after 50 years.
Yes, she does.
Monroeville is trots op Harper Lee. Maar in hoeverre is het stadje werkelijk veranderd in de afgelopen halve eeuw? Advocaat Brian Stevenson had in de jaren 90 zijn eigen Tom Robinson. Hij verdedigde Walter Macmillan, een onschuldige zwarte man die ten onrechte ter dood was veroordeeld voor de moord op een blanke vrouw in Monroeville. Het was een gerechtelijke dwaling die gedreven werd door racistische vooroordelen bij de politie, aanklagers en de rechter.
We worked on that case. I worked on that case for 6 years before finally winning Mr. McMillan's freedom. And I don't think I've had many cases that engendered more resistance, more hostility, more death threats. Just proving that an innocent black man had been wrongly convicted was a challenge to the character of the community. Then when I realized this was the community that produced To Kill a Mockingbird, it just was too rich with irony for me. I went to the courthouse the first time I was working on the case, and the clerk saw me and she said, "Are you a lawyer?" I said, "Yes, I am." She said, "Well, if you're a lawyer, you should know that this is the county where Harper Lee wrote To Kill a Mockingbird. In fact, we have a To Kill a Mockingbird museum." I was trying to explain to her, I said, "Well, I'm sorry, I'm really busy, but I'm actually representing this innocent black man who's been sentenced to death, and I don't have time to go to the museum." And my invoking that case changed everybody's attitudes. I became sort of part of the problem. People had no sympathy for me or Mr. McMillan, and this indifference to his innocence, indifference to the racial bias that gave rise to his case, was absolutely astonishing to see, while people were at the same time celebrating the narrative of To Kill a Mockingbird.
You know what the news is? The great news? What is the good news? What has happened? She's got another book coming out. Go Set a Watchman. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. And we are so excited here in Monroeville. This is it. This is what we're looking forward to on July the 14th.
I think this novel, Go Set a Watchman, is more strictly about civil rights than To Kill a Mockingbird was, and it certainly arrives at a, inflamed time right now in America. And so, once again, she's kind of walked right into some of the most pressing issues of our time.
So this is the old book, but what about the new book? Is that going to sell well?
Yes, the new book, we have already done 6,500 copies, and I have 7,000 on order. I got to do another order soon. These are the copies of To Kill a Mockingbird that a lot of people order with the book. It's been good sellers. Most people want both books ordered together.
You're selling thousands?
Yes, thousands from our small bookshop here in Monroeville. Yes.
You've never seen that before, I presume?
No, we never sold that many books. Of even To Kill a Mockingbird, we haven't done that many at a time as we have now. The resurgence of the new book is amazing.
Are you looking forward to the second book?
I'll be interested to read the book. I think Harper Lee is a great writer. I think she's a great storyteller, and I love good literature. I don't know that we should expect that something radical will happen after the second book. I think we've actually still haven't learned and internalized the lessons of the first book. I'm happy for there to be a second book, but I'm not in any way confused about its impact on race relations or racial justice in a place like Monroe County.
Op 14 juli verschijnt het dus Go Set a Watchman en ook de Nederlandse vertaling verschijnt dan. Ga heen en zet een wachter.